Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are in the world. My name is Jessica and this Kiwi has a lot of books. So as mentioned in a previous video, 95% of my bookshelf is not read, and I've still got a huge pile of books, and I want to talk to you about those today. I will mention any of the Kiwi books in its own group, but apart from that, there won't be any particular order to this video. So let's start with the books that I have not thrifted and that I paid full price for. And how couldn't I? I got this the first day that it came out. I have not read it. I have read Fourth Wing. Review will be coming once I have read this as well. I'm going to do a video with both of these, and I'm really excited to read it. Some other books that I got were Babel, and Babel is a book that I've been wanting to read for actually years, and I haven't had the chance, and I finally bought the book for my birthday. So this is kind of a birthday haul as well. It's a TBR haul. I'm going into this book as completely blind as I can. I know some people love it and I know some people hate it, and that's about it. I know there's a sprinkling of magical realism in there, and it has a lot of themes around language. Yeah, very excited for this one. I also got Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Haven't read it. Heard everybody absolutely rave about this. Haven't watched any of the spoiler reviews, so again, I'm going in as completely blind as I can. I know it's about Sam and Sadie, who have like this really intense friendship, something about video games. Guys, I'm a really bad person to talk to when it comes to synopsis, but like I said again, I'm going in as blind as I can with this one, so that'll be fun. And then the last book that I got that I haven't read for my birthday haul was The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Again, very excited. I've heard this can be quite heavy, so I'm kind of waiting for the right moment to read this, to be completely honest. I read like the first page and I was like, whoa, that's a trigger warning right there. Yeah, like the first sentence is like, so if you haven't read this and you want to read this, look up trigger warnings for it, because you're gonna need to. So what I also got for my birthday was the complete Grimm's Fairy Tales. You can't really see that very well. This has 211 stories in it. Really, really, really beautiful. It's got some amazing drawings, amazing art. And this being the Grimm's Fairy Tales as well, the stories don't necessarily end on a happy note, and that's what I quite like about this. And this was translated from the 1897 translation of the original tales. It's so special, and this was given to me, and I love it. Last thing from the birthday haul, and this is probably the most special thing that I could ever have been given. This was my mum's when she was a girl, and she passed it down to me. And this is as well a collection of stories from all around the world with different cultures being represented. So you've got Maori, you've got Mexican, you've got you've got Scottish, you've got all of these, you've got Aboriginal, you've got all of these different cultures that are represented in this book. However, at the time of publishing, 1974, I believe, some of the illustrations are probably not politically correct. I won't be showing you any of the illustrations, but this means everything and the world to me, so thank you, Mum, for that. So with all the books that I'm about to show you, these have all been thrifted. I'm very lucky to have some great secondhand stores around my area and around Auckland. So let's get into it. First one is The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. And this one is quite important to me because this lady, this is a non-fiction. I think she had cancer when she was alive, but cancer cells were taken out of her body and used for medicine without her permission and without her knowledge even. And so that's an entirely taboo subject, but those cells, which are still being used today apparently, or at least at the time of this publication, those cells are still being used and still being cloned and grown, and they're still used to advance medicine to this day. This lady has been a part of discovering the polio vaccine. Her cells have been used in research for IVF, for different viruses. It says here the effects of the atom bomb, cloning, gene mapping. So her cells have been used in so many different parts of medicine. So she's in essence a hero. But the way in which her cells were collected, it wasn't on. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. So this one here is called Spellcaster by Claudia Gray. And this is about a girl named Nadia in Rhode Island. And there's some kind of curse that's been placed over the town, and she's descended from witches. And so she and a friend who she hopes to be her more than friend needs to fight to save the town and fight the curse that has befallen him as well. This I picked up because it looked like just a really fun, easy YA romance. I'm not expecting the world from this, but we will see. It is apparently a trilogy, and this is the first book, so yay to starting another series. Speaking of spellcasting, we have Magician by Raymond E. Feist. I haven't heard an awful lot about this, but what I have heard, this is a great book. So it looks like this is about a boy who was orphaned and he wanted to train to become a fighter, and that just didn't happen for him. He was destined to become a magician. It looks like an epic fantasy, which will be good because I love fantasy. On the fantasy train, yes, I bought it. I bought Harry Potter and the Cursed Child purely because I have Harry Potter books, and if I start a collection, I've got to finish it. And that does include this book. I've heard it's really bad. I'm going to make up my own opinion. We'll see. We'll see. So, I bought the box set of the Divergent series as well. Don't hate me, but I haven't read any of these yet. This is actually going to be a reading vlog of me reading these, probably early next year. I liked the movies. I heard this was a good book series as well. And so I'm really interested to read this. Next one, we've got Artemis by Andy Weir. Weir? Is that how you say the name? Do correct me in the comments below if it's not. Don't know a whole lot about this. I really enjoyed The Martian when I read that, so I'm hoping that this will be really good as well. It's not too long of a book, 305 pages. So it's not too long, and yeah, like I said, I really liked The Martian when I got it, so I'm quite excited to read this. Sci-fi is not something that I usually go for. Next, we have The Ink Black Heart by Robert Gale, Gale, by this guy. And look, to be honest, I bought this solely on the cover. I didn't really read the back, and it looks like a film noir type crime novel type thing. And again, it's not something I would usually go for, but we are expanding. So this is a chunky book. This is a very chunky book. I'm actually quite intimidated by this. Holy has over 1,000 pages. This is a chunky boy. Okay, so very intimidated to get to this, but also excited and intrigued. I've heard his writing is quite good, and I mean, I haven't read any of it, but I will hopefully soon. Maybe not too soon. This is The Doll Factory by Elizabeth McNeil. Again, I bought this solely on the cover. However, it reads almost like a dark romance by the sound of it. London 1850, so it's a historical novel as well. So this is about Iris and Silas, who begin a bit of a toxic relationship. Silas teaches Iris how to paint, but Silas is increasingly obsessed with Iris. And I have a feeling this is going to take a dark turn. I don't mind historical fiction, and this has a beautiful cover, and I'm really excited to read this. Anatomy of a Scandal. I think the only reason why I picked this up is because when I saw it, Anatomy of a Scandal was doing the rounds on booktube and was really popular, and everybody was loving it. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know what this is about. The blurb itself is actually quite light on describing anything that goes on in the book. All it says is a high-profile marriage thrust into the spotlight, a prosecutor who believes justice has been a long time coming, a scandal that will rock Westminster. Jesus, try and say that 3 times fast. And the woman caught at the heart of it. Going in completely blind with that one, but that is okay. That's half the fun of this, I think. Going into another gorgeous cover is The Little Breton Bistro by Nina George. Again, I bought this completely on the cover. Seems like the most wonderful summer read, and summer may not be happening right now in New Zealand. I think winter is trying to hold on for a wee bit longer. But when we do eventually get to summer, this will be an amazing summer beach read. This is about a woman who is trying to escape a marriage that she's not fond of, and she makes some bad decisions and is ultimately saved and pulled out of the water by someone. And then while she's in hospital, she sees a painting of a town and she decides to go there. This is, by the sounds of it, a story of friendship, of love, of music, of food, of art, of just a new life. And that sounds really sweet. And I may have to get to this very quickly. So going from the very sweet to the very creepy, we have The Hypnotist by Lars Kepler, and this is a crime thriller about a triple murder, and of the family that was murdered, there was one girl that escaped and they're trying to find her, and there was a witness to this murder who, I think that's where the hypnotist comes in, and it follows a detective just trying to solve the case. And this, when I saw it, I thought of Alias Grace. Uh, I know it was a book, I think, by Margaret Atwood, but I saw the series and it reminded me a little bit of how she works with a hypnotist. And so that's actually the reason why I picked this up, is that reminded me of the TV series, and I loved that TV series. So crime thriller, mm, we'll see. I'll give it a go. Moving on to an even more creepy one. This one is a non-fiction, The Butcher Anatomy of a Mafia Psychopath. This is about a man called Tommy Patera who worked with the mafia until he was eventually killed. Definitely look up trigger warnings for this book. It sounds like it's going to be quite graphic. Convicted for 6 murders, he is believed to be responsible for over 60. So this is true crime. This is non-fiction. This sounds like it's going to be a bit unnerving. So that is The Butcher, Anatomy of a Psychopath by Philip Kahlo. Next we have The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart. Some people may know that this was made into a TV series, and I was very happy to find the book by Hallie Ringland. This is based in Australia about a girl who, I think she's orphaned or she's taken away from her family or from her father, who's quite abusive. And so Alice eventually goes to live with her grandmother, who runs a flower farm, but this also is a bit of a shelter for women who have been treated badly and have been abused and things like that. And so it's this confine of women who are safe in this environment, and they use flowers in order to communicate. So that is The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart. Very, very excited to have my hands on a copy of this. On a little bit of a lighter note, we have Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, and I loved the movie to this. I want to say it's a sci-fi about a world where VR reality is at the top of its game, and all these players are trying to find this hidden Easter egg within this game. It's about a few characters kind of banding together, and I feel like there's a bit of a found family element in this. I just feel like it's going to be a really sweet read. I don't know how easy it's going to be because that is very small writing. Again, I saw this and I had to grab it. So moving on to Kiwi authors, and look out for these because some of these will be books of the month. We have The Improbable Life of Ricky Bird, and this tells the juxtaposition of a girl who has a wonderful imagination and creates the most whimsical stories with a real life story of abandonment and new figures coming into her life that she doesn't necessarily like. And I just think this is going to be a really great coming of age story, a really easy read. This will be probably another good summer read, I reckon. So yeah, The Improbable Life of Ricky Bird by Diane Connell. So this is Ocean of Milk by Belinda Eichrick. Eichrick. Apologies if I butchered that last name. And this is about a mother who wakes up in hospital with amnesia, and it seems like she may have troubles with remembering memories that haven't actually happened. I think eventually Amalia is perceived as someone who's gone mad or lost the plot. There are people who are saying she's had a personality transplant since she's woken up. There are doctors that are saying that all her memories will come back. And during all this time, she has to try and look after two young boys. And they seem to be the only ones that aren't fazed by what's happening to their mother. And so, just based on this cover, I feel like this is going to be quite lyrical, quite proseful, I guess, if that's the right word. Maybe a little bit abstract, and that will be interesting as well. But that is Ocean of Milk by Belinda Akrick. The last books that I have here, the Mage's Blood Quartet, the Moontide Quartet by David Hare. And that consists of Mage's Blood, Scarlet Tides, Unholy War, and Ancient Rite. And this is an epic fantasy. It doesn't, I've read the first few pages of Mage's Blood when I bought it, and it certainly doesn't shy away from any of the violence that happens in it, any of the magical system. So from what I think I understand, the moon tide is a tide that happens once every 12 years where it sinks, like the tide goes really, really low. And only during that time, there is a certain bridge that links two continents together. So for 2 years, these continents are linked together, and it seems like there's one side that wants to rule both continents. A failed mage, a jaded mercenary, and a lowly market girl are about to discover that their actions may determine the fate of nations. That's a lot of pressure for 3 people. I am super excited to get to this. Super, super, super excited. So that is my physical TBR. Your question of the day is, which of the Kiwi books that I've mentioned would you like to see me read? Thank you for joining me on this video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.